Hello and welcome to the Magic of Sports special episode. I am Sudipta Roy, and today I'm going to cover AC Milan versus Newcastle United. I just watched the match, so I didn't don't have any screenshot. So I'm just getting to you. So what we have seen actually, is nothing new. We already talked about like build-up phases of Newcastle. So what they do, they basically try to play it from the back and and sort of create like a situational back three in the build-up. Bruno Guimaraes and sometimes who were playing in the right side of the central midfield, joined in, sort of create like a box shape here, and Trippier moved further down the pitch. So yeah, this is the build-up phase, and AC Milan did not. So far what we have seen, they are not that much interested into pressing high up on the pitch. Maybe Giroud was roaming around sometimes, like we have seen Rafael Leo sort of create like a 4-4-2. They pushed up, and all the other players sort of create like a like a four in the midfield and four in the back line. But his the difference is that they sort of pushed up when the wingers are pushing further down the pitch. So what happened actually, like they let AC Milan and they let Newcastle play it from the back, and normally they get into this sort of position. And I think Tonali was playing high as a eight or something like that, and they were creating some sort of like a really narrow, how can I say, narrow width from the forward so that they can push up in the middle area. As Newcastle in the first half, they had the ball like a highest ball position, but they were not actually they could not create anything new. Um, the thing is that when they were playing from the back, normally Zhu or Rafael Leao occupied this sort of space, allowing them to move into the other direction, or sometimes like they create sort of like a diamond in the back line. So yeah, and when say for example Trippier was getting the ball, and normally what's his name, um, uh, Loftus-Cheek or Loftus-Cheek or someone else, whoever in this position, because yeah, they try to push a little bit further to block this sort of movement, and their defense actually start from just after the half space line, so they were sort of creating a little bit lower block, but they are not allowing Newcastle in the anything to do in the center. So when they were moving, so Trippier getting the ball, he moved the ball to the how can I say, to the middle, and suddenly they don't have any space to play inside. Also, there weren't any sort of run, as Almiron did not actually start the game, and so they had to go back and regroup and start over all over again on the other side of the pitch. And basically, this is what was happening. They tried to, another thing is that like when they were moving in the right towards the right side of the pitch, Tonali pushed up, and he sort of create like a 3v3 situations on the other side of the pitch, but that that was sort of like crowded because of the players they have, so they have to Bruno Guimaraes had to come here. And another thing is I mentioned in our previous video that like whenever Newcastle was getting the ball, and they were sort of like trying to create like a yeah, uh, they try to push all those six players up on the pitch. Yeah, and sometimes like Willock was playing in that position. Normally, Gordon was giving the weight. And Tonali was, how can I say, pushed up, and he was getting the ball in the half spaces. Sometimes there were some exchange, but it's like pretty much uh, simple. But another thing is that like Newcastle has a tendency to um, press when they were losing the ball. They press, all the six players are pressing up. But what happens there, like if opponent um, breaks the space and get one of those players, like as we know, like Olivier Giroud is like really good in getting down those long balls. So normally AC Milan, as a fun fact about this AC Milan team is that like they were in last 2 3 years the most counter-attacking team in Italian league. They scored more goal than any other teams from Italy. And they normally try to find out on one of those three players. For example, right now it's either Giroud or Rafael Leao, or normally Theo Fernandez pushed up, and they make some sort of like, yeah, they try to move those ball either directly from there. And as I said before, when we were pushing forward all those six players up, and they were like a little bit narrower or going matching up against player B player, then there is this problem like when the team break down the space. Normally, as we have seen so many times for Newcastle, they were getting in. How can I say? Getting caught in the counters, and yeah, and that's what AC Milan were trying to do, and there were a lot of different variations. Like for example, if the ball was there, then they try to get the ball to the towards running Theo Hernandez or Loftus-Cheek, and normally like he plays like a little cute little 1-to-1 and try to attack this half space, and sometimes in between this area. So there were a lot of like counters from this side, and if the teams are like sitting, they were moving a little bit faster. Then what they do, they just shift. As I mentioned, Newcastle was trying to put, create sort of like a gegenpressing or counter press or something like that. But when like AC Milan was consistently shifting the ball towards the other side of the pitch, they were keeping this 4-4 structure intact, even when two of their players are moving up, and then someone else came back to make those four in the back. Make sure that like there would be always like four in the back, or sometimes like a 3-1 situation in the back. So yeah, and when they made those shift from this side, yeah, from left side to the right side or right side to the left side, and normally, yeah, they were actually catching Newcastle in the counters, and there were so many chances. Although Newcastle have the balls in the first half, then they could not create the chances actually. And also, Rafael Leo and other strikers, and Rafael Leo especially, he missed quite a good like full chances, and also like there were some half chances. And then they brought in like yeah, Florenzi in the right. AC Milan, right after the first half, after like 60 70 minutes, he became a crucial part because he was moving in, like he was roaming free. As yeah, what we have seen from Newcastle, they were trying to create sort of like a narrow front three, and when and AC Milan was like happy to get those sort of things because they were they have like yeah this sort of shape a little bit. Um, Often, most of the time, Trippier was a little bit behind Rafael Leo, and there were so many big spaces created inside of the uh, just after the forward tackle. So like sorry, forward line. So goalkeepers normally like in one two passes they were moving outside, and they were actually like moving towards either towards the half space with the center midfielder, or they're going in the wings to make those crosses. Unfortunately, they couldn't score, but it could be possible. They actually, if they were not like, especially Rafael Leo, if it's not that much wasteful, then Newcastle could have scored. Sorry, AC Milan could have scored. But yeah, like after few attacks, like when Florenzi came in, he was creating, moving up towards the right side of the half space and making crosses from like dangerous crosses towards the second post. And the Pulisic came in. He played well, but I think he is a little bit lack of confidence because there were some cutbacks to him, which normally he could have actually tried to put in inside of the goal, but he did not. But anyway, it was a little bit at the end. It looked a little bit like. Yeah, Newcastle was like creating sort of like their 4-3-3 midfield become like a 4-5-1 situation. They were trying to block everything. AC Milan was throwing, and yeah, that's how it ran. Both team they could not score, unfortunately. So yeah, that's it.